What's going on out there, Spotlight Faithful? It's your main man, Tommy, on the spot. How the heck are you? Welcome to today's edition of the Wrestling Drive, which is, I believe, our Lucky 7 edition of that Wrestling Drive, right here as a part of the DailySpotlight.com and the DailySpotlight.com official YouTube page. I was going to be here yesterday. I actually had started to film a bit of a vlog, so to speak. I don't want to say a vlog, as I know some people say that kids do not say vlog, they say vlog. But what happened was basically when I watched Smackdown on Tuesday, Smackdown Live, I was unable to actually watch the broadcast from home. So what happened was I actually watched most of the Smackdown Draft Central live show. I was out and about, and so I watched everything that was on the network. I watched, and so I wanted to go back and just watch the actual Smackdown show before jumping on here to chat with you guys about the actual draft, because I had gotten a couple of people who had asked my opinion on the draft, and I wanted to be able to actually give you that, set opinion. So, looking at the draft now, we'll take a look. I'll give you guys some thoughts on the actual draft, and we'll also break down a variety of, the NXT call-ups, which unfortunately for everyone out there, you will not be getting a nice new crispy George Washington dollar bill. Because Finn Balor was officially called up in the first round, by the way. So how badass is that? Even when Brock Lesnar was first brought up in 2002 and they wanted to get him over as the next big thing, he was like maybe the 7th round. And now here you have Finn Balor in the very first round. I think it was pick number 5. That's pretty damn cool. And he's on Raw, so if you looked at that draft, yes, John Cena and the world champion are now currently on the SmackDown show, Dean Ambrose. And then on Raw, it is just like the most stacked you could possibly think of. You have, on Raw, you have Roman Reigns. You have Brock Lesnar. Now granted, Brock Lesnar's not going to be there all year round, so you can't really look at him. You have Roman Reigns, you have Brock Lesnar, you have Seth Rollins, you have The New Day, you have Enzo and Cass, you have Kevin Owens, you have Sami Zayn, you have Cesaro, you have Sasha Banks, you have Charlotte. Are you paying attention to how many names are on Raw? Raw is stizzy stacked with people, and it's going to be... that said, I'm actually a little more interested to see what they do on SmackDown, because on SmackDown they're going to have no choice but to really promote that next crop of talent, because aside from John Cena and Dean Ambrose, you really have Randy Orton, you have Bray Wyatt, you have AJ Styles, The Miz, Dolph Ziggler. Those types of guys that are going to need to be promoted. Demon Kane, my boys, Chad Gable and Jason Jordan. So I'm excited to see them, and they're going to be promoted right away. But there isn't any tag team champions on SmackDown. So you wonder, well, then why have all these tag teams on SmackDown? So I don't know if that means eventually they're going to do a tag team title match. I don't know eventually if that means they're going to be giving Raw its own world title, because right now the only champion on that show is Rusev. The U.S. title, he's the only male champion on there. The women's title and the tag team titles are both on there. But as far as male singles titles go, Rusev is the only champion on Raw. So there's a couple of unanswered questions. But as far as those NXT talents, let's get into those quickly. Finn Balor, as we said, was drafted in the very first round. Huge for Finn Balor to be drafted so early. I hope that means there will be big things. He's also on Raw, by the way. So we couldn't get any more stacked, it just did. From there, Naya Jax will also be, I believe she was drafted to Raw as well, and she was drafted during the show. So they definitely see big things. In my opinion, if you were drafted during the broadcast, they see big things for you. If you were drafted on the post-show, there's some guys who were drafted on the post-show who I think could really kind of get reestablished. But for the most part, I think on that main show, I think if you were drafted there, they wanted to show the larger audience who was drafted. So Nia Jax promoted, drafted. She is the cousin of The Rock, and he's really kind of gotten behind her. So you figured it was a matter of when, not if, when it came to Nia Jax. She's she's very big, she's strong, and she kind of reminds me a bit of Karma. Now, of course, when Karma was up there, she, unfortunately injured a bunch of folks and didn't last very long. But I do think that Nia Jax has that similar type of mold of a Karma and could kind of work as that badass top heel. And so it'll be interesting to see what they do with Nia Jax. Alexa Bliss was also called up. She will be on, I want to say SmackDown, but I'm not 100% on that. She was one of the later picks, as was Carmella. So a lot of people are upset about Bayley. Let's keep in mind and remember this, guys. Bayley, there is still the Sasha Banks mystery partner. and it would mean a lot more and focus more if somebody was brought up in a surprise partner capacity than they would be if they were drafted. Assuming that Bayley would be drafted kind of in that mid-range, like a little bit of like a Naya Jax and an American Alpha. If Bayley was also thrown in there, there wouldn't be as big of a shine on Bayley. So if the idea here is that she will be the mystery partner, which is going to be my choice, not to give away my predictions on the Battleground show, which will be tomorrow, but I think that Bayley will be that mystery partner. And then if she is that mystery partner, that would really lend credence to the idea that it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world that she was not drafted. So that remains to be seen, though. I know a lot of folks were bummed about that, but I think Alexa Bliss and Carmella, they have a place as well, and they definitely will also help fill out a female roster that is a little thin, especially if you cut it in half. So it is what it is. Mojo Rawley, I predicted he was going to get drafted. A lot of people were thinking I was crazy, but Mojo Rawley comes with a built-in celebrity tie-in. One of his best friends is Rob Gronkowski. I'm sure the Grunker will be live at many a WWE show because he's been there a lot to support Mojo down in NXT. And aside from that, Mojo has a big personality. He could be a good opening act type of thing. So let's not give up on old Mojo before he even gets a shot to see what he can do. All right? And a couple of things just about the draft real quick. I thought the Draft Central thing was awesome. I was able to watch this. This was great because I was out and about. I was able to stream this right off my phone, follow along with the draft. I thought that the four, Renee Young, Corey Graves, Booker T, and Lita all did a fantastic job. They kept you up to date on everything going on, and could think about the fact, it was almost reminiscent of my boy Mark, who does the NFL Red Zone, who does that all day long for about 9 hours, and you wonder, where's this guy take a piss? But they were on there for 4 hours nonstop and kept things going. I thought that a lot of the promos that they aired, specifically Cesaro's promo, really helped to put a spotlight on some of the individuals who may not necessarily get that spotlight on television, and I'm very interested to see where Cesaro goes. And in closing, if I'm looking for one guy to really take that next step and maybe move up on the rosters a bit, call me crazy, but it's Bo Dallas. I would love to see him get a bit more of a spotlight. I thought he did a very decent job when he first came up. A very good job. I'll be honest, I was a huge fan when he first came up with the Bo Leave stuff, and he would run around the ring and go on the big streak, and then it just kind of dropped. I'd love to see now that he's away from the social outcast, maybe there'll be a bit of a spotlight put on him, and we can kind of see where that goes. So those are my thoughts on the WWE Draft. What did you think? Let me know on Twitter at TommyOnTheSpot or at Daily_Spotlight, or write in the comment section below. Did you like the draft? Which roster do you think's better? I don't know. To me, again, it could be whatever you're looking at. Raw, obviously, is a bit more stacked as we start, but it should be. It's a 3-hour show, and SmackDown is going to be interesting to see where they go, because they have a bunch of guys now that they can really propel towards that top of the card. So I do think you'll see some pushes specifically on SmackDown. In any event, this has been Tommy on the Spot. Thank you so much for downloading the Wrestling Drive. Tomorrow we will be giving our official, authentic Battleground picks. Until then, though, take it easy. You be well.